Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kutlo Moahi. I am head of brand management here at BITC, and I will be directing the ceremonies for this morning. I think what is important is to really acknowledge all of you that have made the effort this morning to come through to join us as we come and speak to you about a very key project that we are facilitating as BITC. And before we start, allow me to acknowledge the leadership that is before us this morning that will be addressing this gathering. I will first acknowledge in absentia, because she is on her way, the Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Mema Bawogi, who is about to join us. I'd also like to acknowledge the Presidential Advisor, Re Projects, Re Umpile Sihurutsi. Also acknowledge the BITC CEO, Re Ulibile, your COO and your management. The Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, Director, Town and Country Planning, Mr. Oke. Acknowledge also the Khanzi District Council Chairman, Honorable Shane Kibakile. Acknowledge the Khanzi District Council, I think it's Kemulaudi, Mr. Kitumile Ramotadima. Also acknowledge the Zotus Group founder and CEO, Mr. Davison Simangu, who is joining us virtually this morning. He is joined by some of his colleagues. We are also joined virtually by the Trans-Kalahari Corridor Secretariat, Executive Director, Mr. Leslie Mlungisi Mbofu. So we are fully here together as joint stakeholders working together on this project that we're going to address. I wish to remind all of you that just recently at the ended Global Expo 2025, as BITC, we shared with, I'll say, the guests and public that were watching the proceedings. We shared projects that we are currently facilitating, key projects that we strongly believe will lead us as we continue to transform our economy and diversify it with the greatest intention to try and create employment for Botswana and also really grow our economy. So one of the projects that was shared and announced at that gathering was the Zotus City project, where we also had the CEO present together with some of his colleagues. Following that announcement, we've received a lot of interest from the public. We've received feedback. We've also observed misinformation and misunderstanding in some of the communication that has been circulating mostly on our social media platforms. So we found it fit this morning that as the stakeholders that are engaging in this project, that we bring you together as our key partners to come and appreciate the project in more clarity, and also appreciate the facts around the project so that you support us to communicate the correct information to the public. I think as BITC, I stand here very proud that you have always partnered with us and you have always done but represent the truth. That is what we deliver as BITC. So I want to thank you and appreciate you for that. And this morning really is to also bring you on board as a partner as we facilitate this project. So without wasting much time, I will ask the CEO of BITC to give you an overview of the project and just give you the key updates you can appreciate, and most importantly, understanding our investment facilitation process as BITC. Reulibile, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kutlo. Good morning to you all, distinguished guests, members of the press, our stakeholders in attendance. Yes, I think for emphasis, let me start off by thanking you for making time to be here with us this morning. And as she just said, following the announcement of Zotus Group's intention to invest in Botswana, we have noted some public inquiries and concerns in relation to the project. It is of paramount importance that we gather in this manner like we are this morning to provide that we envisage for Hanzi, as well as to address and dispel any concerns and fears that the public may have about this project. I will start off by giving an overview of Zotus Group, their background, how we got into contact with them, and how we have been facilitating them up to where we currently are, and some of the specifics about the project, and some of the questions that came from the public will later on be addressed by the promoter, Mr. Davidson Simango. Zotus City Development Group Limited is a properly incorporated company registered in the Republic of Botswana by SIPA under the Botswana Companies Act. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of Zotus Group International from the United Kingdom, registered with the Companies House of the United Kingdom under number OC 439763. So it's a properly registered company in the UK. Zotus Group International filed its latest accounts with the Companies House in the UK in accordance with the UK's Companies Act of 2006, and they have registered as a holding and investment structuring vehicle. I want that to be understood. A holding and investment structuring vehicle, and therefore they maintain a dormant filing status. A dormant filing status until active operations and revenues can begin, particularly for this project and any other project that they are pushing around the world. And this is the standard, as you know, for early stage multinational development SPVs. So that issue of their capital being at 17 pula or pounds is basically that they have only complied to register in their dormant status to remain active until active operations can start. But you are very open to ask them about any of their other investments and things that they are doing, so that we don't only focus on this particular SPV that is registered for purposes of the project that we are presenting. Zotus Group functions as a master developer entity designed to mobilize project-specific capital through partnerships with sovereign wealth funds, banks, engineering, procurement, and construction contractors. Zotus City's investor group includes internationally recognized institutions, partners, and global ambassadors, including, as we revealed at Global Expo, Mr. Didier Drogba and Emil Heskey. Some of you would have met them, and others that later on the promoter will get to reveal. Zotus Group first engaged BITC in the year 2020 as a contact facilitated to us through our UK networks. At the time, the company presented its co-founders as Mr. Davidson Simango, Mr. Emil Heskey, who is well known in the football circles, and Mr. Peter Sharp, who at the time was their senior partner. Our initial engagements with the company were then curtailed due to the global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. But in 2021, Zotus participated at a high-level roundtable discussion alongside other UK companies exploring investment opportunities in Botswana. So we had an outreach mission that Zotus attended. Following this engagement, and with the interest that they had expressed, BITC continued discussions with the company, which expressed interest in pursuing multiple opportunities across various sectors. BITC subsequently facilitated exploratory virtual meetings between Zotus Group and key local institutions, including Botswana University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, BUAN, the Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub, BDIH at the time, and other relevant stakeholders. Moving forward, in January 2023, Zotus Group participated again with the Botswana team during a Botswana Oil Roadshow in London for their coal to liquids project. And they attended this in partnership with another credible company called the Gamma Group. Early in 2025, the company attended the World Economic Forum in Davos, where it engaged with the presidential delegation of Botswana that was attending WEF. In this engagement, and having explored Botswana and the available opportunities in different sectors, Zotus presented its strategic vision to develop a Dubai-style smart city near the Okavango Delta. Their original focus was the Okavango Delta. And they presented this as a transformative project aimed at integrating modern infrastructure with sustainable development practices. Following the WEF, the Zotus team visited Botswana to conduct further stakeholder consultations, and during their visit, they met with key institutions, including us, BITC, the Ministry of Wildlife and Tourism, Office of the President, the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, and Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub, to mention a few. These engagements culminated in their submission of formal proposals for detailed evaluation and the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Zotus Group and the Office of the President. I will elaborate more on this MOU, but I want us to note the distinct difference between an MOU and an MOA. Because as we were noting, some would say you've already agreed, but we need to note what an MOU is and MOA is. So an MOU, as you will understand, is a non-binding document and sets up the framework for future collaboration, while a memorandum of agreement is binding as it details specific actionable commitments and responsibilities of the parties so signing. So in this case, the government of Botswana has signed an MOU with a distinct comparison to an MOA. Subsequent to that, further stakeholder engagements were held, and the Zotus team was successfully persuaded to consider relocating the project of the proposed smart city from the Okavango Delta, for the sensitivities that we all know, to an alternative site within Botswana, and they agreed. This Zotus City initiative, as we see it, will integrate smart agriculture, logistics, renewable energy, aviation, and tourism within a unified smart city framework at no financial cost to government. I want to emphasize that again, no financial cost to government. That's how the proposal came. As part of the facilitation process of this company, a technical team was established comprising representatives from BITC, the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs, Ministry of Environment and Tourism, Botswana Tourism Organization, Botswana Oil, the Civil Aviation Authority of Botswana, the Special Economic Zones Authority, the Khansi District Council, the Khansi Land Board, the Kalahari Land Board, and the Botswana Power Corporation. So these were the technical team that were then assembled with a specific mandate to identify potential sites for the establishment of the proposed Zotus City project. To guide the site selection process, a structured assessment was applied, taking into consideration factors such as land availability, integrated land use and management planning, national spatial planning, infrastructure readiness, and potential for economic impact. Following this assessment, 3 potential sites were identified, and all situated around or between Khanti and Charles Hill Mamuno. A consultative engagement was then held with the leadership of the Khanti district for briefing and site visits. We basically went with the Zotas promoters to the region to explore and evaluate all these sites that have been selected. After the evaluation, Junction 44, that is the confluence of the road to Charles Hill Mamuno and the 40-kilometer branch off to Khanti, that's the one called Junction 44, was selected as the preferred location for the development of the Zotus City project. Relevant government teams have since been conducting preliminary assessments, and mainly these are from the Ministry of Lands, preliminary assessment of the preferred site with a view to further establish suitability and any pre-existing land rights that could be affected or encroached upon by this project. Coming forward at this year's Global Expo Botswana, Zotas Group formalized its collaboration efforts by signing a further tripartite MOU between BITC, themselves as Zotas Group, and the Trans-Kalahari Corridor because of the interest of the corridor to the site that has been preferred for the project, as well as an additional MOU involving BITC, Zotas, and the Khanti District Council. These MOUs mark a significant milestone in advancing discussions around the proposed project. It is important to note again that these MOUs are non-binding, as I said before, and primarily serve to outline the general principles and intentions of cooperation between Zotas Group and the respective entities involved. As of now, I emphasize again, no binding agreement has been concluded for the implementation of the project, but we have established or expressed our willingness as government to support it for the strategic purposes that we see as it's being proposed. Zotas Group's investment focus and operational strengths closely align with Botswana's economic transformation agenda, especially in, number 1, infrastructure development, by supporting our projects of urbanization, transportation and logistics through public-private partnerships and any other model of participation. They also support our renewable energy drive by advancing Botswana's clean energy transition, exploring solar, bioenergy, and other sustainable fuel systems. Industrial diversification by partnering in manufacturing, agro-processing, and mining beneficiation initiatives to expand Botswana's industrial base. Healthcare and ICT by enhancing digital health systems, medical infrastructure, and innovation ecosystems to support national development priorities. In facilitating Zotus City, all relevant authorizations are founded on formal instruments, some of which include the above stipulated MOUs, and the facilitation process entails vetting, verification of Zotas Group's corporate credentials, as well as evaluating their detailed business plan, which they have submitted to us. There have been several questions raised by the public regarding the issue of due diligence and whether proper due diligence was undertaken. I wish to state here that BITC upholds a rigorous and transparent due diligence framework as part of its investment promotion and facilitation mandate. This framework ensures that all investment proposals and potential partners are thoroughly vetted to confirm their credibility, integrity, and alignment with Botswana's national development goals and economic transformation priorities. It is important to emphasize that investment promotion and facilitation is not a once-off event, but rather a multi-pronged, multi-staged process. And this process involves extensive market engagements, coordination with relevant stakeholders, investor background verification, and project validation before any investment is accredited to BITC or operationalized. As part of this framework, BITC's due diligence process includes, among others, corporate verification, as I said, assessing the investor's registration documents, ownership structure, and jurisdictional presence. So that was conducted. And then reputational and compliance checks, which is checking through our business and market intelligence tools, a company's reputational track record and its standing in the global anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism databases to identify any potential red flags, such as fraud, litigation, sanctions, or reputational risks. So I may pause here and emphasize we have internal systems where we punch a company in. These systems are connected to international networks and systems that will really say, of course, there is something to worry about this person, or there is nothing. But in this case, we didn't pick anything negative about Zotus. And in this verification process, if we find anything that could be worrisome, we engage other relevant security apparatus or vetting systems to make sure that all grounds are covered before we can confirm ourselves to a particular project. With respect to this particular project, both corporate verification and reputational compliance checks were done. BITC continues to work closely with relevant government offices to ensure that all due diligence steps are completed prior to the conclusion of any formal engagement and investment commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also important to note that BITC does not conduct due diligence, as I said, in isolation. The process follows an interagency approach, ensuring that each proposed investment is assessed collectively to guarantee alignment with national laws, strategic priorities, and governance standards. Zotus Group has furnished us with confirmation of reputable strategic partners being lined up for the successful implementation of this project. But I will leave that to Mr. Simango to reveal and further elaborate on. So he will have to tell you who are the credible people behind this project. But he has shared with us letters that indicate that indeed these people have expressed interest to participate. As I conclude, I wish to reiterate that all the necessary due diligence checks were done, all the necessary stakeholder engagements were done, and we continue to engage and exchange with all relevant stakeholders in support of this project. We are alive to the concerns raised by some quarters of the public, and we continue to strive to ensure that we do all the necessary checks and balances for this project and all other investments that are coming into the country that come through our facilitation. Therefore, mine was just a general statement. The specifics we'll get to follow as the promoters come. But at this point, allow me to invite the Presidential Advisor on Projects, Mr. Umpile Sihurutsi, to also deliver a few remarks before we now hand over to the Zotus Group founder, who is joining us virtually, Mr. Davidson, to also address you, and then we will roll down to question and answers. I thank you, Sihurutsi.
Thank you very much, Olibile. Thank you very much, colleagues, for having made time to participate in this conversation. And I will also, for the interest of efficiency, just lean on the protocol that the MC has outlined. The President, Advocate Duma Gideon Boko, has made a pronouncement that Botswana shall change, and shall change spectacularly. over his tenure. Key to this transformation will be the implementation of mega projects, the likes of the Zotus City project that we are focusing on today. Needless to say, we will have doubts when confronted with the nature of these mega projects. And we may occasionally stumble, and this is all natural. Where there are doubts, we will, as we are doing today, openly engage and debate our various perspectives. But this season that we have entered into calls upon us to have faith. Faith in our collective ability, in our shared vision, and in our capability as a people. Transformation of this scale and of this speed is never easy. It demands courage, discipline, and unity of purpose. And yet we stand at the threshold of a new era that promises prosperity, radical innovation, and ultimately dignity for our citizens. We must remember that we have done this before. And I'd like to cite a case in point over 40 years ago, when our forefathers called upon this nation into a mega project that has become the present day icon called the University of Botswana, which is amongst the best in Africa. I don't think that when our forefathers did that over 40 years ago, the call to action was easy. And I can imagine that there were doubts, there were fears, just as we are going to be confronted with such in this current era. But so in the current administration, more of such mega multi-billion projects are actively being discussed today and soon will be taking off. Case in point, the likes of the Mopani International Cargo Airport coming up in Pique. That is also estimated to cost billions of US dollars. And many such that have been identified as part of the BITC. My plea, therefore, is that let us therefore move forward together, confident that our commitment, our capability, and our faith today will shape and inspire the Botswana of future generations. We cannot outsource faith in our own capability. If we don't believe in ourselves, nobody is going to do that. And it doesn't mean that we will not be confronted with fear and doubt occasionally. We will. But we do as we stand together today, shoulder to shoulder, to lean on each other, and to inspire each other to say, it's time for us to believe. And the challenge with faith is that sometimes there is no evidence that it will happen. All you have as a nation is just faith. When our young people went recently to the athletic competitions, all they had was faith. And we are inspired to have and to carry the same. The world is watching us. And we will show them that Botswana not only dares to dream, but also dares to deliver. And I'm confident that under the leadership of the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship and the BITC, and the commitment that I've seen, witnessed for myself firsthand from the management of the Zotus company, I'm confident that we will deliver on this project. And I'm not claiming that it will be easy. And I'm not claiming that the journey will be smooth. But I'm nonetheless confident that we have all the ingredients to make this project a success. Ke a leboga.
Thank you very much, Reulibile and Resi Hurutsi, seated there as Motswana, listening to you. I could only feel a lot of excitement, but also pick a lot of opportunity. So, as Resi Hurutsi says, Botswana dares to dream and Botswana dares to deliver. Rona re le Batswana, when these major projects land in the country or when we hear of them coming to Botswana, I think it is also a call to action. How can I position myself to benefit from this project? The ongoing Jindal project, it's a very mega project as well. There is need for accommodation there. Baba gaufi fo a ne ba ipakanya gore ba dire maroko gore ba bereki ba kgone go na le immediate accommodation. They need to identify how we are also a part of the change. Let us be ready for the change and let us position ourselves to benefit from this change as Botswana. So I think now I'm quite motivated and I want this message to permeate and go to Botswana. This region that we are talking about has fallen behind in terms of development over the years, but the time is now for them. It is their turn to receive a third city. So let's encourage and support the project. I'm going to allow the next speaker to come on board, Re Davinsi Mangu, who is joining us virtually, to also give us the reassurance and give us their proposed model for the project. Mr. Simango, over to you.
Good morning, all. Good morning to all the officials from the Office of the President, the BITC, and members of the press. We thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity to address the nation and to also give you updates on where we are in regards to the Zotus City project. As I'm joining you today, we are in Dubai, where the project was selected as a global impact project. It was presented in front of the nation of Dubai, as well as the mayors from across the Asia, Africa, and etc. So I will give you just a brief introduction of who we are, how we are structured, as just adding on to what Mr. Olebile mentioned, and then I will also give you updates on where we are to date. So Zotus Group is a UK-based government liaison and project development company that bridges sovereign governments, institutional investors, and global partners. Over the years, the group has received endorsement and support from senior government and Commonwealth figures, notably Lord Poppert of Harrow, the UK Prime Minister's trade envoy to Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, and the DRC, and Lord Malland of Odstock, chairman of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, and former UK Minister for Trade and Investment, alongside Samantha Cohen, who was the late Queen's private secretary. Their engagement during earlier Zotus initiatives, such as the Ghana Airlines Revival Project and Zimbabwe's Commonwealth re-engagement, established Zotus Group, standing as a credible and trusted development partner. Today, Zotus continues to maintain active institutional relationships and goodwill with senior British and Commonwealth networks that extend strategic support to its ongoing flagship projects, including the Zotus City, Smart City, and Special Economic Zone in Botswana. The group's mandate is to help governments structure complex national projects, attract world-class investors, and achieve bankability by financing and coordinating legal, technical, and engineering studies at the pre-investment stage. Zotus builds the bridge between government vision and investor confidence, ensuring projects reach financial close with transparency and institutional credibility. This model of structured government-aligned development now continues through Zotus City, a flagship project recognized internationally under the patronage of His Royal Highness at the 2025 Asia Pacific City Summit Mayor's City Expo in Dubai. In Botswana, Zotus Group serves as the project manager and master developer for Zotus City. I think this is very, very important to emphasize for the public to understand our role in this initiative. Zotus City does not claim to have 50 billion to fund the project, but however, we are using our vehicle to bring in institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds to fund this project, because giga projects of this magnitude, they take partnerships in order to materialize, and that is our role. Our role here is to project manage, and I would like to make that clear to the public as well as to the media. We are not claiming to have 50 billion, but however, we are bringing in reputable partnerships, including banks, to develop the 50 billion smart city and special economic zone in partnership with the government of Botswana, Hansi District Council, Botswana Investment and Trade Center, and the Trans-Kalahari Corridor Secretariat. Our role is to build project bankability by coordinating and funding international, legal, engineering, and planning teams, including King & Spalding LLP, who are our legal counsel. And I also want to note that King & Spalding are the same legal counsel advising on Neom City. Neom City in Saudi Arabia is a $500 billion US dollars project. That's the value. And the same counsel Group is also the same master planner that designed Neom City. They're the ones with this technical expertise, alongside Subana Jurong, who are our technical partners. Subana Jurong is the same firm that did the Kigali city. I'm sure we are all witnesses to how wonderful and how beautiful the Kigali city is. So we have assembled the right people with the expertise, the knowledge to do this project, as well as we have received expression of interest from different companies that want to come and partner with us. Once the project attains full bankability, Zotus Group will introduce institutional investors and sovereign funds already engaged in its London, Dubai, and African networks. The project's strength is further enhanced by the involvement of Arif Kanafani, senior partner, advisor to the Al Wazn Family Office group of companies in Kuwait. During the Global Expo, Mr. Arif Kanafani was part of the delegation that came to support. He came on behalf of the chairman. He also sits on the board of Zotus City Development Group. Through this alliance, Zotus has demonstrated credibility in aligning with the reputable Gulf Family Office with a long-standing track record in infrastructure, petrochemicals, and regional investment. The partnership underscores Zotus City's role as a bridge between African opportunity and Middle Eastern capital. In addition, Zotus City has attracted high-profile global investors and ambassadors, including Didier Drogba. He's not just a global face, but he's also an investor into the projects, alongside Amir Haski, both internationally recognized figures with extensive influence across business, sports, and philanthropy. Amir Haski, former England international and successful entrepreneur, is likewise an investor and strategic partner, contributing his expertise in international branding, sports innovation, and global outreach to the city's development. Together with our Wazn Gulf institution presence, Drogba's African leadership, this partnership partnerships signal broad-based investor confidence and international endorsement of the Zotus City vision. And I'm now going to give you an update on where we are following, the announcements that was done here in Dubai. So it is a privilege to share the continued progress of Zotus Group International and our partners as we advance the implementation of Zotus City, a flagship city, and the special economic zone being
all the key milestones that you have achieved and all those that are ongoing as you mobilize to ensure the delivery of this project. So I think before we get to our questions and answers, it is quite important. I know we've received questions around the land facilitation. We've received questions around the community engagement within the Khanzi region. So we have the District Council Chairman, Honorable Shane Gibadile, who will also give us his input into the project. Re Gibadile, over to you. Mike.
Good morning. Am I audible? Thank you. Let me write on the protocol that has already been established by the Director of Ceremony and quickly recognize the BITC CEO and the Special Advisor to the President's Resuhurutse Projects from Department of Town and Country Planning. Bagaj, my name's in full Kibidwa Tabiso Shane Kebadile. I assumed the leadership of the district back in November 18th, 2024, upon completing the general elections. At this juncture, as I sit here before you, I can't overemphasize my excitement about the development of a city in the Kalahari. I'll first quickly preface my remarks by stating that, you see, Junction 44 has always been regarded as an area that was quite suitable for economic, special economic development. I mean, I once served a term in Khanzi Land Board. I have my fellow honorable councillor for New BITC KGR here in presence. We happen to have served Khanzi Land Board at the same time together for a one term, and we are now both councillors. So Junction 44 in the hearts and the minds of the people of Khanzi has always been viewed as this very beautiful area that can be turned into an economic hub for the district. So when it, with these bureaucratic practices within government, this has been said over time, and there was nothing that was moving along those lines, except there was only one application for a piece of land in that very same junction. I think the delay was a blessing in disguise, that at one point in time in our lifetime will eventually come to meet investors who really connect with the dream and the vision of the people of Khanzi, whereas they've never met anywhere to sit and talk about it. In my spiritual realm, the way I interpret it, I think it is godly that we have met the Zotus City investors as the people of Khanzi and the leadership to say, look, you probably have had this dream for a long time, talking about it, not knowing what to do. Here we are as Zotus City to establish a city in the Kalahari. We can't overemphasize the opportunities that will come with the establishment of that city. Firstly, there's going to be massive jobs during construction, and there's going to be massive jobs again during the actual establishment of the city. And further, opportunities that will, as a result of that city being there, being created. We are a district that is very strong in pastoral farming or beef production. Definitely that would mean our beef will be air transported from 44 to the rest of the world. We are becoming one of the busiest horticultural places as well, in that very same desert of Khansi. Probably all of us know that we can close the borders to finish our supply of potatoes and onions and other vegetables. That speaks to the opportunities that will be experienced by the people of Khansi and the rest of the country. We also have certain pockets of our land parcels, more especially our settlements of Grootegeluk, Cabo, Chobokwane, East Western High, which are very fertile for production of leguminous family crops. So this speaks to a number of opportunities that the people of Khansi and the rest of the country will explore for the purposes of trading with the rest of the world. I cannot imagine whereby Dabe Kukuri in East Hanahai will produce some of the best leguminous crops that will be transported from Junction 44, the Zotus City, to the rest of the world. Imagine that as a citizen of this country. So, honestly, as Khansi District Council leadership, we will do everything in our power to support the establishment of Zotus City. This will be our special economic zone kind of a settlement, the best of its kind in Botswana. And we are very, very excited. And we are working with BITC and other several stakeholders to expedite all that is necessary to ensure we resume the actual establishment of the city. We, the people of Khansi, are very, very much excited, and we shall, as political leadership, provide guidance where necessary. And very soon we are calling BITC to the full council to further do stakeholder engagement. And we shall, from there, talk the nearest settlements to prepare them about this opportunity that is coming into our district. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Council Chair. It sounds like a good number of us will start preparing to migrate to Khansi. I will also allow, as we move on with the program, I will invite the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, also to just give an update on the land facilitation.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. And let me observe protocol and take this opportunity to greet all of you present in this press conference. Ke dumedise Botswana, ke dumedise botlhe ba ba ko Khansi ke re ga zogwa ba igotse. Bagaetsho, I want to tender an apology for the Land Board Chairperson, and on behalf of the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, I'm here representing the Permanent Secretary, Deputy Permanent Secretary. But as introduced, my name is Kibonyi Mudisa Oke, the Director of Town and Country Planning. I think speakers have mentioned a lot more that I could have said, but I just wanted to emphasize on a number of issues with regard to land facilitation and spatial planning. I also want to mention that the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, through the Town and Country Planning Act, was really facilitating this process and looking at the available instruments. You'll all recall that Botswana is now a planning area, the whole of it. And it means we are now driving on the implementation of the National Spatial Plan. And the National Spatial Plan really looks at all these major projects. Now, interestingly enough, early this financial year, the minister responsible, Minister Dikoloti, gazetted the approved regional plan for the 4 districts, Hukunzi, Tsabong, Charles Hill, and Khansi. And this became another key instrument in the land identification process. And as such, as the CEO had earlier mentioned, there was the exercise involved all these other 4, but it then zoomed down to the 3 sites that he mentioned. And in that exercise, it wasn't really about Zotas per se. We have a number of investors for other mega projects that we keep facilitating across the country. And I wouldn't want to mention them, but this is how this process was concluded. But I also want to mention that key to the stakeholders here, as the chairperson said, it is the Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs. We have the mandate to plan, but they have the mandate to establish the cities and towns. So in terms of the Town and Country Planning Act, as I mentioned as well, it is very, very key that we look at all the stakeholders and their responsibilities, because the Act says the council is the planning authority. Hence, you see the chairperson being very, very key to this development. And it also identifies the land board as the responsible planning authority and the land authority as well, as per the Tribal Land Act. So these key stakeholders were very, very key, and our facilitation was based on really assisting them to make the appropriate decisions. And in terms of the land allocation process, the process is still at the infant stage. We have drawn an action plan that will be followed to ensure that all the necessary and the due process is followed to ensure that the land is allocated accordingly. So with that, I want to thank you, Madam Director.
Thank you so much, Ray. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so far, as we continue with our project, the investment facilitation process involves a lot of stakeholder engagement. There is a lot of collaboration by local authorities. So tota hela ke project we will continue to facilitate Rempofu Maranyani. Is he still with us? Yeah, he's there.
Sorry, good Lord.
Yes.
Mr. Mpofu has just left a message on the chat.
Okay.
He says he's just joined using the airport Wi-Fi. It's hopeless. He cannot hear anything. It keeps on breaking. The connection is terrible.
Okay. Okay, that is fine. Thank you for that update, Davison. I think, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, let us excuse him. But I think it does demonstrate that he was willing and ready to engage with us this morning, and also to really reassure and emphasize that the Secretariat is part of facilitation of this project. So we've said so many things, ladies and gentlemen. We have heard our speakers here engage us very openly, and I'm here to also invite you to openly engage them on any questions, areas of clarity, comments because le tsone di comment there ra di amogela. So I'm going to ask by show of hand that you raise your hand, introduce yourself, your name, the media house that you represent, and then you can go ahead and ask. My colleagues will be moving around with roving mics. I have the first gentleman that is holding the mic at the back there. Go ahead, sir. Stand up.
My name is Kutlo Mutseta. I'm from the Botswana Times. I've got 3 questions to ask. The first question is concerning the issue of land allocation. Because the communities in the area are the indigenous people of Khanzi, are they going to have tribal land that's allocated to them, or in order for them to be closer to the city to get the economic benefit of the place, or will it only be available to people that can buy land to live over there? Secondly, how will the political leadership of the area work? Will it be a mayor, or will the CEO of Zotus Group lead the city? And finally, I wanted to ask about the issue of the allocation of, the sourcing of material for the building of the city. I'm curious as to why is it that local companies haven't been contracted in order to supply material for the building of the city? Because I believe that Botswana's building industry is relatively advanced at this point. They've built many other buildings in our country. So I'm curious as to why haven't they been contracted, local companies, to develop the city. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You said your name was Kutlo. Okay. Second person.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
My name is Khone. I'm with GABS FM. I do have a couple of questions here. The first one is what we have been seeing circulating, that the company does not have financial records in the UK. And for such a big or large company that is also claiming to do such big projects, how do we trust that these aren't, just scammers? And I do also understand that he did say that they are currently in the United Arab Emirates, looking for investments and so on and so forth. So I want to understand whether this group is coming in as an agent. Are they looking for investors? And BITC did say that they have done due diligence. So is it also going to be extended to the global investors that they're looking for, they're looking into, they're having, conversations with? On the issue of land, I want to understand what is the nature of land rights. Is it owned, is it leased, or in negotiation? And then, lastly, I guess I touched on it, the filings of the group. They show that it's dormant. And it's a micro company classification, if I may put it like that. So which legal entity will Zotus Group operate in Botswana? And, name and registration number. And how is local activity accounted for or monitored? Thank you so much. I'll end there.
Okay, let me take a third person.
Thank you. My question, quite similar to Khaone, but I'll proceed because, from Bopa. My question to the Zotus Group, I'd like to know what projects of this magnitude have they handled before? What practical experience do they have in handling projects of this magnitude? And another question would be also, following the concerns that have been raised by the public, do we have the confidence as Botswana, this one will be directed to Resuhurusi Reulibile, that do we have the confidence that such a project of this magnitude, given the experience of maybe Senegal with Acorn City and some other smart city projects that have been promised in other parts of the continent, where Nigeria and Kenya, that really haven't really been rolled out? Do we have the confidence that this is something that's practical? Thank you.
Okay, we have somebody online. Re Dikarabo Ramodubu, who's joining us online representing Guardian. Re Ramodubu, go ahead. You are muted, Re Ramodubu. Try and unmute your mic. Okay, I think as he tries to sort himself out, we can take any other question from the floor before we, okay, if there aren't any, okay. One last question. In my edge, one last question, and then let me allow the panel to respond, and then we'll take a second round of questions.
Sorry. I wanted to find out what is the projected cost. Okay. Sorry. I wanted to find out what is the projected cost from the side of government.
Okay.
How much will it cost the government? Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. To the panel, I think the questions were quite clear. We can start with responding to questions from Botswana Times, Zaha Gutlo Motsetla. He was asking a question.
Structuring, and when we get there, that's when we can have the details of the role and participation of the local communities, including the aspect of sourcing materials. I know maybe the presenter peaked when he spoke about Dangote. You may have noted that there are a number of companies for local materials that we revealed at Global Expo, including Dangote, that will have an opportunity to participate in the project. So overall, I'm saying still early stage. We are in the preliminaries, and some of the finer details will definitely come. I don't know if my colleagues from the land side would want to add.
Thank you very much for the questions. And I think, CEO, you've really dealt with it. But just maybe to add a bit of detail, if you look at Khansi as a district, it's a combination of state land, freehold land, and tribal land. So these tenures do exist around the area that we are speaking to. But like the CEO mentioned, when it now comes to really situating the project itself, looking at the land requirements, you will then be able to give the details on which tenures have really been affected by Junction 44. And just to give you a picture, if you look at the land requirement that has been, we are looking at a radius of about 3.5 kilometers. And just so that you picture from where we are seated, that would be probably all the way down to just across Ginger BBS, and then you go down to Block 5, Block 9 area. And many think it's really a huge piece of land, but it will be huge because if you look at the planning that is intended there, it will really be intensive, and a lot can be derived in terms of land utilization. And that will be a model for that we need to adopt going forward to actually utilize this land as a good resort. And there was also a question in terms of governance. Obviously, issues of governance will really speak to the statutes, the available statutes. And establishing a city in a tribal land, for instance, will actually be more viable in terms of the fact that you don't even have to start other arrangements in terms of, because you asked whether there would be a mayor or so on and so forth. So all those details will come once we look at the structures in terms of planning going forward. I thank you so much.
Before you hand over the mic, there was a question around how the land will be allocated, the nature of the land allocation, whether it will be a lease or what. So I think just touch on that before we move on to other questions.
Primarily, these projects, the reason why they are routed through BITC is because the land is still government land, and you know that BITC is government. So all those modalities, once BITC, and based on the proposal, all those are sorted, it will then determine, like I mentioned earlier, we can't rush to speak to issues of how this will be done, because the appropriate authority, being the land authority, will receive the proposal and peruse the proposal accordingly and be able to know how best, based on the proposal, the land will be allocated. I thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe allow me to add on that last point, Yonea, how the land could be allocated. We have an already established model of allocating land to investors, really BITC. And I always present about it wherever I get the opportunity to present. If an investor seeks land, usually in the towns, what we call state land, because that one is priced per square meter, we tend to facilitate outright transfer upon payment of the due fees. But we have a different approach for tribal land, which is what we are talking about today. For tribal land, the popular method with our land counterparts is that land gets allocated to BITC. We hold in trust for the project. And our role then becomes to facilitate and make sure that the project successfully deploys within the parameters that were originally established. And once we believe that the project has developed sufficiently, that is when we facilitate transfer to whoever it may be. We have another further model that we have since introduced, and you can trace it to projects like the citrus project, which is now expanding to Dikgatlong, where we sometimes organize the community, either through a cooperative or a trust. And then we facilitate that land be given to the community, and then we want an appropriate model on which now they can partner with the investor. So it's still early stage, as I said. We will get to the river in terms of which appropriate model we take forward. Maybe, Kutlo, we should give it to Davidson.
Yes, I wanted to hand over to Davidson, but before I do, I wanted you to address the question that was saying, what is the projected cost for government?
As I said in my speech, at the moment, and this has been emphasized with the promoters, the only contribution of government at the moment is to provide the land. That's all, no cost to government. But as Rese Huruti was saying, I am sure and certain that the promoters will make it open for government to decide if they want some level of participation. You remember the announcement of mega projects and co-investment. So if they see fit, they still have the space to determine that they want to participate in a way or another. We will get to that. But for now, no cost, no exposure to government.
And I also believe it is open to local investors as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I think let us hand over to Mr. Davidson. The key questions for you to respond to is with regards to your financial records in the UK. I think the question around how do we trust whether you are an authentic or not an authentic company. I did not want to use the other words you used. And then also speak to your model of investment. The question really was saying, are you an agent, or what form of investment are you bringing? What kind of investment model will you be facilitating the project? And then, okay, I think the other questions have been responded to, so you can just stick to those two.
Okay, thank you. The published statement showing £1, approximately 17 puller, simply reflects the nominal issued share capital of the parent holding company. What people are looking at on Companies House in the UK is a holding company. These are entities that are designed to hold assets, not operational liquidity. We have incorporated the company in Botswana, Zotus City Development Group. Now those are operational entities where the public can see the financials of those companies, because now everything, all the investments into the project will flow through Zotus City, Botswana. All investment, the holding company in the UK, that is registered as a company that holds assets. So it does not represent the group's valuation, assets under development, or project funding capacity. It is a normal legal and accounting practice for holding structures that consolidate assets, subsidiaries, and investments across jurisdiction. So in short, the figure on Companies House is a statutory
core
request.
business, the organization. Even when you get
Sorry.
Continue, Davison.
Okay. So it's not a major or financial worth. Zotus Group value is derived from its portfolio of ongoing projects and strategic partnerships and international investors. And I think in my earlier on statement, we did indicate our role in this. We are project developers. Our role is to make this project bankable. There is no financiers, there's no sovereign wealth funds that will just come and put in money on a project that is not bankable. They need to make sure that they will get ROI on their investment. So that is what we're doing here. Within Zotus itself, our financials alone, DJ Dropper, I'm sure as the media, you can do your due diligence on his net worth. And you can also do your due diligence on his current projects that he is doing around the world. And this guy is our partner and investor into this. So it shows that we have the muscle, we have the capability to get this project from -0 to ground zero. Once we reach ground zero, where the land now has been allocated, has been identified, that is when now we will engage sovereign wealth funds. That's when we will engage private investors. It's going to take not just one bank, it's going to take a consortium of banks to bring this project to life, because the projected amount is $50 billion US. And if you check all similar projects, all major projects of this magnitude, they were not funded by one source. They were not funded by one institution. It takes banks. It takes banks that focus on, for example, on energy, on water, on infrastructure, on real estate. It's going to take a team. It's going to take so many investors to bring this project to life. So our role is to project manage. Our role is to bring these investors to the table. Yes, we are in the UAE looking for partners, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take partnerships. It's going to take sovereign wealth funds. It's going to take equity investments to bring this project to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Davison. I think there's an additional 2 or 3 other questions. The other one was asking how Zotus is set up in Botswana. Is it a registered company? And then the other question was asking as to whether you will be doing due diligence on the funders. I believe that one is your responsibility, but also ours as Botswana. But just speak to that in terms of due diligence on the funders that you'll be onboarding. The last one is with regards to whether you have done any similar mega project such as this one, or maybe just share with us some of the projects that you've worked on before. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just to start off with the last question, whether we have done similar projects of this magnitude. I think in my statement, I made it very clear that we are bringing on board institutions that have worked on similar projects. I mentioned their names: Jack Ingles Group. I would kindly ask the media just to do their due diligence on them, on the work they have done, as well as Subana Jurong. Subana Jurong is owned by the state of Singapore. Most of the developments in the UAE, in Singapore, in Asia, it is the same firm that has done it. So in regards to have we done this, we have people on board. We have signed partnerships. Some of the documents they have been shared with BITC to show their involvement on executing these projects. Our role, if I may to repeat again, is to project manage, is to bring these people together, is to bring the expertise. Within Zotus itself, we have architects, we have master planners, we have engineers who will oversee, the partners that we're bringing together. And I'm also glad, there was another question in regards to, sourcing local materials and stuff. I'm glad to let you know that at this stage, Zotus has already started recruiting, and I think from next week onwards, we'll be announcing the core team, the management team, who are Botswana people. As we've been emphasizing, this project is for the Botswana. It's to bring employment to the locals, and already the top management posts we have now recruited. We have signed binding agreements because the project is moving on. The project is gaining momentum, so we need the locals with the expertise to come on board, to join us. And could you please repeat the other question?
The other question was with regards to due diligence on the funders that you'll be onboarding, and then also whether Zotus is now registered in Botswana.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so Zotus Group, we maintain, as you can see, Zotus Group has reputable people who are the faces, people like Didier Drogba, the likes of Emil Heskey. These are people who have been very successful in the field, and their involvement, it shows they wouldn't attach their name. These are global names, by the way. These are global names, and they would not attach themselves to a project that they don't trust in, or they have any doubts in. We will do our due diligence, and we are actually speaking with 2 top banks that have expressed interest in funding us. These are the top 2 banks in Africa. I cannot mention their names at this stage because the discussions are ongoing and we have signed non-disclosure agreements. But once we finalize, then we will share with the public, as well as all the investors we bring into the board. We have internal systems where we check anti-money laundering systems. We have laws because we abide by the law of the UK. As a company registered in the UK, we have to abide by anti-money laundering checks in the UK, as well as Botswana. Yes, we have registered an SPV. So the SPV is the master developer company that will undertake and execute this project. That was registered on the 3rd of October in Botswana. Thank you.
Thank you, Davison. I think all the questions have.
Let me take, I think there was one that was to me and Resi Huruti regarding why do we have confidence that this is practical.
Yes.
I think to answer this one, a lot was said about NEOM in Saudi Arabia. They have boldly come out and said, yes, we can create a new city, and they are going for it. But my personal experience in recent times, just a few months ago, we were assigned to a country called Turkmenistan. It's close to Iran there. And if you can Google a city called Awaza, we were there. I saw it with my own eyes. They started it in 2013 on the same objectives. And today it's a tourism special economic zone that is so beautiful, so eye-catching, and so busy. If they can do it, why would we think it can't happen in Botswana? I think that can be my statement on our confidence with the project.
No, thanks, Raulebile. So, as I said also in my statement, we are under no illusion that this project will not have challenges. We know it will have challenges, like any other project. But our comfort, Lebanon, and thanks for your question. The key success of any project is bringing on board the right people. That is what is key. And we have expressed this to Zotus. They've heeded that advice, and they are pulling in the right people towards the project. And people who've been there, done that, learned the mistakes, and know which pitfalls to avoid. So that's the first thing. But an asset that we should also not take for granted is political will. In this administration, the appetite for mega projects, risky as they are, the government has taken a posture to say it's time. Because when we talk about transforming this country, we're not going to transform it with micro projects. We are going to have appetite at a political level for high risk, but also high benefit, high return mega projects. So the political will is also a massive asset that is working to the advantage of not just this project, but many others, as I said. And then thirdly, citizen focus. Again, in our conversations with Zotus, in our conversations with all other mega projects that are being built or being discussed, we are emphasizing citizen focus. If you don't leverage the asset of citizen buy-in, it doesn't work. You could have all the experts in the world, you could have all the political will you want, but if you don't bring on board the ordinary citizens, and this is why Zotus is saying that we are announcing a posture of management that includes experts from Botswana who are going to benefit directly from the transfer of skills from people that have done these projects at a global scale. So there's a huge amount of citizen focus. As you can see, the leadership of the city council, the council is here. As you also heard from the honorable councillor, that there's also going to be road shows to go to the villages with BITC to tell people about this project in a language that they understand, and to also unveil to them the opportunities, what it means for them in this project. I like the question that was asked, I think it was asked by Haone, if I'm not mistaken, about, I don't know if it was Haone, pardon me if I got it wrong, but someone asked us a question around, will citizens be deliberately allocated land closer to the city so that they can benefit? I'm not the expert, but I can confirm that our posture as government, and facilitated through the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, is a definitive yes, to say we want citizens to come as close to the city as possible where practical. We want citizens to benefit directly from contracts that will come from the projects so that they benefit. During construction, pre-construction, and post-construction. So for me, those three ingredients, the political will, the roping in of people who've been there, done that, who've made the mistakes and learned from them, as well as the key success of any project is bringing on board the right people. That is what is key. And we have expressed this to Zotas. They've heeded that advice, and they are pulling in the right people towards the project. And people who've been there, done that, learned the mistakes, and know which pitfalls to avoid. So that's the first thing. But an asset that we should also not take for granted is political will. In this administration, the appetite for mega projects, risky as they are, the government has taken a posture to say it's time. Because when we talk about transforming this country, we're not going to transform it with micro projects. We are going to have appetite at a political level for high risk, but also high benefit, high return mega projects. So the political will is also a massive asset that is working to the advantage of not just this project, but many others, as I said. And then thirdly, citizen focus. Again, in our conversations with Zotas, in our conversations with all other mega projects that are being built or being discussed, we are emphasizing citizen focus. If you don't leverage the asset of citizen buy-in, it doesn't work. You could have all the experts in the world, you could have all the political will you want, but if you don't bring on board the ordinary citizens, and this is why Zotas is saying that we are announcing a posture of management that includes experts from Botswana who are going to benefit directly from the transfer of skills from people that have done these projects at a global scale. So there's a huge amount of citizen focus. As you can see, the leadership of the city council, the council is here. As you also heard from the honorable councillor, that there's also going to be road shows to go to the villages with BITC to tell people about this project in a language that they understand, and to also unveil to them the opportunities, what it means for them in this project. I like the question that was asked, I think it was asked by Haone, if I'm not mistaken, about, I don't know if it was Haone, pardon me if I got it wrong, but someone asked us a question around, will citizens be deliberately allocated land closer to the city so that they can benefit? I'm not the expert, but I can confirm that our posture as government, and facilitated through the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, is a definitive yes, to say we want citizens to come as close to the city as possible where practical. We want citizens to benefit directly from contracts that will come from the projects so that they benefit during construction, pre-construction, and post-construction. So for me, those three ingredients, the political will, the roping in of people who've been there, done that, who've made the mistakes and learned from them, as well as a huge focus on citizens. That for me, those are the three ingredients that in our conversations with the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship, BITC, and all other stakeholders, they are the guiding coalition for the success of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we take a second round of questions? Re Ramadubu, let's try him again, but I've been communicating with him here.
Good morning.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, my question goes to Mr. Davison. If my memory serves me right, this week you and your delegation, you were in Dubai, where you were invited to attend the global project at the Mayor's City Expo, held under the patronage of His Royal Highness. I believe you presented the Botswana Smart City Vision on the city hall stage. So you kindly share with us the highlight. Is there hope, based on what you said when you met those movers and shakers of the world economy, is there any hope that they will see this Zotus City worth investing in? Thank you.
Thank you, Ramadubu. Pauline?
Dumelang, my name is Pauline Duguelo from Miranda Monitor Newspapers. If perhaps you can share the timelines of the project, the Kalahari City project.
Okay, another question?
Dumela. My name is Bamipi from The Voice. I'm just curious about Junction 44. I've never been there. I hope to go there one day. How many people or vehicles pass through Junction 44, maybe on a weekly basis, we reach this idea of a smart city there, and the catchment, the population of the catchment area, the surrounding settlements, or what is the population there? Secondly, water. Where are you going to source water to kick off this project? Because look like what the water there side is salty, blah, 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 blah. Thank you.
Yes, another question?
Hello again. Mine is a follow-up for BITC. I just want to know if, like what Zotus is saying, that, well, one of the reasons why we couldn't find what we were looking for in the UK, files. How does BITC reconcile this with the claim that what was said during the launch, that this is a multi-billion-dollar investor, when they've got no funds to show for? And what they're really just saying is they do have two big banks, as the speaker said. He says they've got two big banks, but unfortunately now he cannot tell us who they are, who the actual financiers are. So I want to know, has BITC, sorry, is it in the know who the two big banks are, or you're just like us, you'll be waiting for them to announce? And then I just want to know, was it not too premature to launch the Zotus Group in Botswana when we don't even have land? We're still at the earlier stages of acquiring that land, which you speak about. Thank you so much.
Any other question?
Dumelang, Kibira Tsolofelo Tombala, I'm from BTV. I heard earlier when the presentation was started that right now what we have as government with Zotus Group is memorandums of understanding. So I was curious as to what is holding up those MOUs becoming memorandums of agreement, and when can we expect that decision to be made? Secondly, I wondered if there's any documentation around this project, for example, feasibility studies or projections, and an environmental impact assessment for the location they are proposing. Thank you.
Is there one more? Okay.
Dumela. My name is Gilbert from Gebs FM. Mine goes to Mr. Davison. Mr. Davison, does Zotus Group have an investment committee? Because it has just been clarified for it's incorporated as an investment vehicle in the UK. But we are only seeing only you and the likes of Drogba. You keep mentioning Drogba. But for a project of this size, one would want to have a quick background of the team that will be spearheading the funds that you intend to pull from the institutional investors. You've mentioned the sovereign wealth funds. So, and maybe too, Rauli Bill, have you met the investment committee from Zotus?
Okay, I think that's a good number of questions for us to move back to the panel. The first questions, I think, let's take them to Mr. Simango. I want him to respond to Rera Madumu's question around any key highlights coming out of their participation at the Dubai event. Also for you, Mr. Davison, to speak to the last question now from Gilbert, where he's asking whether you have an investment committee, and also really, I think, speak again towards your funding model. So if you can start with those two.
Thank you, Kufo. Yes, indeed. Our mission to the UAE, Dubai, has been a success. The project being selected as a global impact under the patronage of His Royal Highness, it showed the scale of how big this project is, and the faith that the UAE has on Botswana and the project itself. Dubai 30 years ago, they were where Botswana is today. They were very reliant on oil, but there was no more oil, so they had to think outside the box and improve on their trade, logistics, and other industries. And I think that's where Botswana finds herself today. Being reliant on diamonds, but right now with the introduction of synthetic diamonds, the country needs to look elsewhere. We need to diversify. Yes, the opportunities are there already, but all we need is to enhance. So we were given the platform to present the project in front of the global audience, and I'm glad to announce that it has been fruitful. We were approached by who I cannot mention at this stage, but this is the digital, when you come to Dubai, the digital company behind their friend, the ecosystem. Everything in Dubai is the ecosystem is AI driven. The same entity, the same company behind that, they have expressed interest to co-invest, because they see when Dubai was built 8 years ago, they didn't have the technology, but we stand at an advantage where now what took them 10 years is going to take us 2 years due to the new system, the new technology. So they see the importance. They see how this will be beneficial by bridging the two countries. So that is one lead. As well as we had a high-level meeting with the deputy mayor of New York and their office, and they had welcomed the proposal to have a sister city. New York City is the financial hub of the United States. When you talk about the financial world, You know, there are 3 hubs in the whole world where money lives and thrives, and New York is one of them. And to have such a big institution, such a big city like that, saying, listen, we want to work with you, we want to have systems where we can exchange knowledge, you know, we can guide you, we can help you. You know, it just opens doors, the possibilities are endless. So this is something that we welcome. We'll be having follow-up meetings with them virtually in the coming week, and hopefully once the core team has been announced from Botswana, then we will move as a delegation, you know, to have these roadshows. As well as we also had a meeting with DP World. As I mentioned earlier on, DP World, you know, 42% of Dubai's GDP runs through their hands, and this entity, they have presence in Botswana already, but they see the scale and they see the opportunities, you know, of partnering with us. So we have opened the door to them to tell us exactly how they want to get involved, either as equity partners, as investors, because in our plans, the city we are building is going to be a logistics hub. You know, the fact that it sits at the heart of Junction 44, a trade route, you know, this is going to be the economic activity in Hansi is going to grow. It's going to grow, you know, by bringing the right partners, by bringing people who are already at the center of transforming, you know, mega cities and partnering with us. It shows that, you know, we're not just dreaming, but this vision is now materializing. DP World, with the delegation, we met with the senior vice president of Special Economic Zone and the directors, and they have welcomed, you know, the partnership that we want to have with them. As well as our international lawyers, they're one of the biggest law firms in the world advising on giga projects. So a roadshow is also being, it has been a success. You know, it's been a success as a result of this engagement. We've also been engaged, been invited to also speak and present the projects in Barcelona. So not only are we branding Zotus City, we are branding Botswana. When the world hears about Botswana, I think if we listen to Mr. President, he is also, you know, trying to champion, to push the brand of Botswana, let the world know what Botswana has to offer. And I think Zotus City is the catalyst. You know, through these engagements, the whole world now is paying attention to Botswana. And you can just imagine the opportunities, you know, the opportunities that this will open to the Botswana people, to the graduates, you know, who are right now do not have any jobs. So I think this is really great, and it's been a very successful trip. In regards to you know, the project team, project management, yes, we have experts within Zotus. You know, not every business lists their people on the website. Some people want to remain due to their own you know, to what they prefer. They prefer to work behind the scenes. Some they're okay with their names being showcased on public platforms. Within Zotus, we have New York-based financiers, you know, people that have structured these sort of investments. Like Arif Ganefani, you know, he's schooled in Oxford. You know, he's been in the financial sector for years. He sits on the board of Our Wasn't Group. I mean, I can confidently say, because you know, Our Wasn't Group has written a commitment letter to support this initiative. This is a Gulf sovereign wealth fund in Kuwait, and as a result of our partnership, Mr. Arefani now sits on the board of directors of Zotus. He was there in Botswana when we announced to the world. So we have people. We have people, you know, with the expertise, as well as the core team that we are recruiting in Botswana. You know, these are people who are seasoned, you know, in financial structuring, as well as on the call here. I'm joined by Mr. William Morisi, you know, who's very, very versed. You know, he's been in the financial sector for more than 30 years. You know, he works with these banks. When these banks are looking for projects in the region, they approach him, to structure these deals, and he's come on board, to help us structure and to understand the landscape as well. And we also have Jonathan Ing. Jonathan Ing, if you check in on our website, he's been involved with major projects in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, as a project manager. So these are people that because we understand that we need the best talent to bring this project to life. We need to assemble ourselves with the best, and that is what Zotus is doing. This international team will work in parallel with the local team. And this is where we see the value, adding on to what Wolute was saying, that this project is people-centered. It's about people. It's about enhancing livelihoods in Botswana. And that, as a group, we are taking on board, the initiatives by government by making sure that whatever skills we're bringing to Botswana, we will learn and take over. There's a Botswana there who will take over and run this project, because this project, this is something that will redefine not just Botswana but Southern Africa as a whole. It's a blueprint. When we're successful, we pray by God's grace that we will implement this project all over the continent of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Pardon? Okay, there was another question, Mr. Simangu, around the water, where you plan to source the water for the project. And I think another one was also speaking to timelines. What are your planned timelines for the project?
Okay, thank you. So from the time we signed with the Office of the President on the 13th of February, our team has been working behind the scenes in Botswana, engaging with the different ministries to really understand, yes, it's true, you cannot build a city where there's no water. So we met with the Ministry of Water to really understand, where they are. Our initial proposal was to build a water pipeline with a desalination plant at source in Namibia. So we've done our studies, and then with further consultations, meeting different stakeholders, we were also shown the satellite images of the land, and one of the options is there is water actually underneath. So now we have two. The goal is, if we're going to go the pipeline route, not only will the pipeline supply water to the city, but to Botswana as a whole. That is what we are considering. So we have those two options. Depending on the feasibility studies, then we will know exactly which of the two will be more viable. And in regards to timelines, we are slightly behind our timelines. But we are working together with BITC and different government bodies to expedite. We are hoping once all the formalities are done to have a land transfer ceremony, in the next 4 weeks or so. Once that's done, then our master planners will be on the ground. 2 weeks after we see us do the master plan.
Ray Ramadubu, please mute your mic.
The land transfer, 2 weeks after that, you will see our master planners. Jack Ingle's group, we have already signed, contracts with them, committing. 2 weeks after that, you will now start to see work on the ground. They will begin to do the vision master plan, and they need to be on the ground. They need to be enhancing, in order for them to produce that master plan. So that master plan is going to take 6 weeks. So this is the vision master plan. It's going to take 6 weeks, which will take us now into the first quarter of 2026. So just to give you high level timelines, in 2020, the first quarter of 2026, we have the groundbreaking ceremony. By then, we would have unveiled the actual image, the model of what the city is going to look like. And then at the time, once that's done, the Dubai company I told you about will then come into play. And then in the second quarter of 2026, once that's done, we'll be working alongside different government, the country planning and etc. To get necessary permits in place, and then everything else will follow. We're adopting exactly how they've done in Dubai. If you come to Dubai, it's constantly they're building. What the city is already operational. So these timelines, they're very, we've been working very hard with BITC and the government and also the president to make sure that we meet our timelines and we execute on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Davison. There was a question around the population around the catchment area. I'm hoping the council chair will respond to that. But there was another question also around how many people or vehicles pass through Junction 44, and I think that would have been an ideal question for the executive director wa Trans-Kalahari Corridor. We are having challenges with his connection. If we are unable to answer that question now, we will get the information in terms of the statistics from him and then share it through to you on email. Let me allow the council chair to respond to the people around the area.
Yes, thank you once again. The question of settlements around the area from Junction 44 to Chobokwane, we have a settlement known as Chobokwane that is 35 kilometers thereabout, and probably has more than 1,000 inhabitants. And the other settlements that are very closer will be East and West Hanahai on the far side of the old Hans Gaborone Road. This villages, probably West Hanahai has over 1,000, East Hanahai around 500. But I think is information that we can get from our last national census to pick the correct figures there. I think it's public knowledge how it went by. And on the issue of transport, the TKC report that was once shared with us indicates that we have around 180 to 300 trucks per day, depending on the days how busy they are. But Wednesday and Thursdays have been picked as the most busiest days. Mind you, currently there is a copper mining and somewhere in Kuke, the Motewas and Fire Mine. So that has increased the volume of trucks already. And mind you, again, we have a Botswana oil facility that is also being constructed just nearby the very same junction. I think it's probably around 10 kilometers from the junction 44. Therefore, it goes beyond without justification that this is one of the busiest area, and also indicates the lot of opportunities that comes with the junction 44 being an ideal place for the construction of Zotus City. But I wanted to chip here, as questions were being thrown and various comments were being made. I remember that I once read the Magic of Perseverance by David Mahang. It dawns upon me that David Mahang, when he purchased the Pakalane farm, he had wanted to establish a township in the city, and then nobody understood him what he wanted to be. So I read the trials and tribulations of Mahang, trying to speak to the government then that this is what I want to create in Pakalane farm. And I'm seeing similarities as we are seated here. But this probably has been done in Botswana by someone in our country, but he wasn't doing it as a city. But probably we see what the benefits of Pakalane are to Gaborone and the rest of the citizens, and what is in Pakalane. Maybe we can see the similarities in this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, we can move on to the next set of questions. There was one question, I think it was one, maybe two in one, from Neko Gebs FM regarding our mention at Global Expo of Resimango as a multi-billion-dollar investor, and that now we're saying the project is the multi-billion-dollar project and not entirely the investor himself. So I think she's asking whether was it not too premature for us to announce the project at Global Expo, but I think I will allow you to speak to that. And also, as you speak to that as well, I think you need to re-engage on the issue around MOA versus MOU, because there was another question as well, what is really holding up the process move from an MOU to an MOA. So if you can address that as well.
Right, thank you, Kutlo. I think the question was, how does BITC confirm financial standing? I can assure you, though these things are confidential, that while the public assessment has been around what's published on the register of the company's registry in London, the guys have shared with us all the way to even their personal financial statements. And I can assure you they are not poor. Yes, we do have those records. So that's why, Obanari, we are expressing confidence to rally behind the idea. Because this Zotus project is basically one that brings together an idea with money. He's just spoken an example of Pakalani. But Resihuriti cited another one that we are rallying behind, Kopikwe, which is actually developed by our own Yam Botswana. Hanere moditsera mo setjara mo tlhanolla dipata. Ga ke bone hore ne re a go itlhela sepe. But we rallied behind the idea that can bring the money of interest to it so that it can be implemented. That's how big projects are formatted. So we can go on and on with examples. So we do have their financial statements all the way to the personal accounts. And we can't share those, but I can affirm that I've seen them. Do we know who the big banks are? Yes, we know whom they are talking to. But at the moment, we cannot also reveal, because it's this thing of saying, look, I understand your project. I would rally behind it, provided you have the enablers in hand. And the key enabler for this project, for us to say it has started, is the land. And we've just presented the preliminaries that we have to run through in order to say the land can be availed. So there's a bit of modeling and structuring that has to take place. Then we say, yes, the project is in motion. But yes, we know who the big banks and the high net worth people that they are talking to are. Was it premature to announce? No. No, because obviously we spoke about all the preliminaries that have to go in a project like this. We had to announce. This is a project of public interest. We are a public institution. So you wouldn't want to see people doing things on the land of the Khansi people without having announced. So it's very important to highlight and even enter into that memorandum of understanding to say, don't be surprised, there's something going. But we commit to share all the granular details as the project develops going forward. And then there was a question on how do we move from MOU to MOA. As I said, the key ticking point for the race to start is the land. Let us finalize the preliminaries, and then we can enter into agreements once everything has been established. Feasibility studies, I think Davidson covered that will be done. It's part of their plan. We have seen it, so we will get there. And then have we seen Zotus Investment Committee? not in that particular structure, but we know, as I said, the faces that have been presented as partners and shareholders, and then we also know the people that they are talking to behind, some of whom, as he said, are actively involved in the development of the city that we all celebrate in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So I repeat again, if they can do it, why do we believe it can fail Mohorona? It's a game of faith, as he said. Let us believe and let us support. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the panel and to our media. Unless there is any one last burning question, I think we have done this discussion justice. We have been open, and we appreciate that you've also engaged very openly, and that you leave here with nothing but facts and reassurance that as BITC or as Botswana and the government of Botswana, we are committed to ensuring that we deliver this third city in Botswana. We thank you for the time you took. We look forward to the facts that you're going to report back to the public, and we also appreciate our continued partnership with you. To the panel, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to those who joined us